Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about my day 4 update for the Glacial Bolt Amazon. And so far this has been the most fruitful one, where I've basically transitioned this build into maps. I'm currently at tier 11 or so. My questline is still at tier 8, but obviously I can do better content at this point. And the biggest thing for me was figuring out defenses, and as I had planned, I was going to go for evasion and energy shield. I don't have a lot right now. I'm rocking like 780, but on top of the life, that is a very nice buffer. I'm also using ghost dance. I'm using wind dancer, and I'll show you everything about it. I also have a few other tech options. For example, how to fix your mana once your gem goes higher. I have anoint options, third ascendancy. Yeah, also another few discussions, for example, attack speed breakpoints, because it has felt a little bit awkward at certain times. So we'll talk about everything, and also FAQ at the end. As always, if you're new to the build, I have a leveling planner down below, and I have the last few updates if you want to see how the build progressed at certain points. I will also have a full guide out in a few days, but that takes a lot longer. So right now I need to just flesh out the character. So the number one thing I did was get Wind Dancer and Ghost Dance into the build, and that was gonna be easy at first, right? Because I had planned to go Galvanic Shards and yeah. But then I found this skill and I had to cast on Freeze Tech, which I talked about last video. If you forgot, you can use Freezing Mark with Impetus and Energy Retention. I actually put it at this point to basically proc your own walls. So you shoot the Glacials, and if this hits an enemy, then it also explodes the whole icicles and overlaps. However, yeah, that takes 60 spirit away. So how did we get the rest? So we need to get at least 50, because you could say I need 60, right? Obviously, because 30, 30, but you can, if you want to, also remove the, where is it? The accuracy, right? The precision, which is 10 spirit. So that's like, okay, if you get 10 spirit extra, that's nice, 30% accuracy, but it's not like mandatory. So in theory, you only need to get 50, and there's really 3 ways. The other ones are too expensive. Let's just talk about these 3. Number 1 is you would get just a straight up an amulet with plus 60 from a solar amulet. So if you don't know, you can get up to 50 spirit on the item itself, and then a solar amulet comes with plus 2 spirit, 10 to 15 spirit, in my case 12. The 2 doesn't matter at all. However, I didn't get that because I got this one for like 10 exalts or something, so I had to buy it. It was just very nice, and I got it instead. Yeah, but that's the first. That would probably be the most optimal way to get it, but probably also the most expensive. The way I got it is I got plus 60 from body armor and a solar amulet implicit. So 52 spirit right here, 12 spirit right here. Same thing, right? I have 4 spirit left, so I can't do anything with those, so you don't need that much. And the third one is you get plus 50 or 60 from body armor. Body armor actually rolls up to 61, so you can do it without even needing the solar amulet implicit, but that's going to be a lot more expensive. And the problem is, as you can see right here, a body armor can have up to like 900, even more energy shield, right? And yeah, obviously my runes are not perfect, but I could have another 300 ES here, which with all the increases would come out as another 500 basically HP, but I can't because the spirit is a prefix, which is where all the energy shield mods go. So it is probably not the best unless you can get 60, but this is the cheapest option. You just get 50 from your body armor. So yeah, straight up, probably this is by far the best. There's nothing crazy we really need on amulet other than life resistances. Yeah, crit damage bonus or crit chance is very inefficient just because the numbers are so low. But yeah, so Stalking Panther is next. Stalking Panther is the 3rd ascendancy I took. I was gonna retake the Predatory Instinct, but honestly, bossing just has not really been an issue at all. Like, bosses are just completely falling over for me personally, and rares are getting mostly one-shots, so it was like, eh, do I really need this? Probably later once we get to like pinnacle content and whatnot. But yeah, evasion rating from helmet, gloves, and boots is doubled, but from body armor is halved. What that means is you want to focus on only energy shield, so you have no downside. Only energy shield on your body armor, while everything else you want as much evasion as possible. Now, right now, I'm using Black Insignia, which is quite nice. It gives you tailwind, right? It's pretty cheap. And this is only really good if you have quite a bit of evasion, and I will probably cut it at some point because this helmet could have like 1,000 evasion and the life roll and resistances. So Probably not going to be able to do this forever. As you can see right here, I'm just cruising through the maps right now, and later on, if I want to cap my Chaos Res and my Fire Res, I can't just have this kind of like attitude towards my defenses anymore. But right now, Black Insignia is very, very nice for progressing. So this Stalking Panther doesn't give me that much, right? It gives me the 419 doubled, the 437, and a little bit here. So around about 1,000 evasion, but that is still an absolute ton. And next up, I will be replacing these gloves. Once again, they were only here for the stats, but now I have slowly getting to enough money to replace these for like good rare gloves, and there I will be looking for better evasion, which would then also be doubled by Stalking Panther. Now, second thing, this build is very feels based. People always ask me, what is your level? What should my level be? My freezing mark is this level. What should my Glacial Bolt be? It is completely feels based. It's not just about DPS. It's exactly how much damage you actually have, right? Whether from accuracy from your Ascendancy or flat damage from your weapon versus what the wall has, right? So the higher your damage goes, the higher the wall can get, because then the wall gets still one shot. It has to do with like all of these things, right? Like it's so many random small factors. What do you have on your gear and whatnot? What does the map have? So it's like, yeah, in total, there is no answer, and it is something you'll have to feel out. One thing I would personally say is never upgrade your Glacial Bolt without thinking about it first. Like, did you just have a damage upgrade or something? Simply because if you already have quality here and then you can't down level anymore, it would be kind of like a waste. So yeah, in general, I can't really say much more there. But for me, for example, level 17 with a really good crossbow is now pretty good. But I have buddies of mine that go to level 19, 20, and it's totally fine. This is just something you have to figure out for yourself. But I will once again remind you of things to solve the issue in case you overdo it. The first one is Icicle support, which is this one right here, 50% less life, but you need to give up a support. So you can level up higher, which is more damage, but you also need to use the support. Is that good? In general, we're pretty support starved. So let's say I could only get it to level 18 in endgame, but I could get it to level 21 if I put an Icicle. It would probably be a good support because it would also give me another damage support that I can now put here. I can't put Icicle anywhere else, right? So let's say there's like 15% more damage here. I can put that on one of my other skills, for example, the cast on freeze. And then I can put Icicle here, which is very specialized, right? Which could be good. And the other thing you can do is you can anoint Shattered Crystal, 30%, 60% reduced Ice Crystal life. That is even better than the support. It is a little bit more expensive as an anoint, but do remember that that also has its cost, right? That is basically you're not going to be able to take Storm Charge, which for me right now is 11.7% more damage. Depending on what happens, you can also take defenses and whatnot. So just remind yourself of the costs. And the second even weirder thing happened when I tried Martial Tempo on the build, which is 20% more attack speed. I figured out that attack speed can actually be weirdly detrimental. There's something happening where I think if you fire too fast, the second bolt after the first one will push the first one forward. This doesn't really work without mobs, but it will kind of push the mob forward before the explosions or something. And then it also doesn't work. Maybe this has to do with AoE. I'll have to experiment a little bit more. Maybe anointing Authority will just straight up fix it. Not 100% sure. Maybe Magnified Effect as my 6th link will fix it, and I'm actually going to be able to scale a lot more attack speed. So I'm going to hold off on Falcon Dive for a little bit. I also don't really have enough accuracy as of right now, but it will probably be the next node I go for, and then I will kind of solve that issue. If you're having zero issues though, then more power to you. So that is, once again, just a feels-based thing, and this is something you have to tinker around with your build a little bit. Now, what else? 2% mana on Kill Jewel, big deal. In endgame, the mana costs are getting pretty rough, so if you guys have never seen this quote-unquote tech. Now, I swear this jewel was good before I corrupted it. I was getting greedy because the Corruption Omen was too exalt, and I was like, let's just go for it. Yeah, this is really bad. There's nothing on here anymore. But yeah, do you see the 2% mana on kill? That is now my jewel. This is a big deal. And it rolls from 1 to 2. I think you want 2%, although I can see 1% also working. It's just like 2 is literally double. And all you have to do is make sure you get a 2. On top of that, you can get like increased damage, which is incredibly strong. Which basically like elemental damage, attack damage, projectile damage I wouldn't take because it doesn't scale your mark. But all of those things on Sapphire, critical damage bonus, critical hit chance, all of those good ones, right? You can look through PoE2DB for the mods and whatnot. But yeah, really, really great. I'm basically never pressing my Mana Flask right now. Maybe in endgame it's going to be necessary again. This is also why I'm not using stuff like Izmiri Brew. Like, if one single mod on a jewel fixes my issues, then I just don't know. Because on bosses, I'm having basically 0 issues. It's only while clearing, because the freezing mark gets procced so often, so therefore way more mana cost. Now that we have cheap annoyance, which there are a plethora of, I personally went for Critical Exploit just because it makes everything way more consistent. The annoyance costed me like, I think 3 exalts, so you can even throw it on a not so decent amulet. I feel like it was just very, very good. I think on PoB it showed like 6% more damage or something. So that's straight up really nice. In endgame, you want to go for Storm Charged. When I made the Ami, it costed like, I think 30 exalts to make this. So I just put it somewhere else. I don't think it's worth it. Really, that one was 11.7% more damage. So yeah, just kind of test it out. Look at it in PoB if you can. And get a cheap Anoint. Once again, I will put this out if you're having trouble exploding your walls. Shattered Crystal is going to be nice. There is a chance, theoretically, that in endgame, we're going to scale some levels on our Crossbow and on our Amulet. And then we're going to need to compensate for the Crystal HP, and then we're going to anoint this. But this is like very theoretical and probably way, way, way later down the road. Now, then I want to talk about Verglas real quickly. So I tested this support initially on day 1 after I reached 2000 wall HP, so I can at least proc it, right? Basically what it does is whenever you destroy an icicle, you get 1% of damage gained as extra cold. So in our build, basically 1% more damage per 2000 maximum health of the destroyed ice crystal. I am under the impression that this only works for 1 stack. So if you kill 100 walls, you don't get 100% more damage, and the tooltip damage would actually support that whenever I basically go into a map. Now, if you track your damage here, some people are mistaken because it's not like Verglas that gives you more damage after you start combat. It's like Ice Bite, and it is all the nodes on the tree that said if you crit recently, if you haven't dealt a crit recently, right? Like all of those first up. So you will have, you would very noticeably increase your damage on the tooltip. However, currently I'm mostly one-shotting everything. So if somebody has a good method of testing this and you're telling me that the tooltip is broken, then go for it. But people are like throwing this one at me, and I can't see it on the tooltip. Try it for yourself. I don't know. I think the way you would use Verglas is on like some kind of meme setup, which could actually be really good, where you go for a high level one and you have like a crazy wall and you kind of like pre-kill it before the boss starts. But on this build, as like a main support without anything else, I would highly recommend not going for it. It does like 3% more damage for me right now. I don't know. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Now, if I'm going to level up my Verglas and I actually get to destroy it, and this gets to like 20% more damage, now we're talking. That's really good. But you have to remember, you cannot use Shattered Crystal or the other one to reduce it at all then, because then you're also reducing the buff you get from Verglas. So you would have to kill a wall that has like 30k HP or whatever for this to be worth it. Actually 40k HP, right, to make this 20% more damage. So I would love if somebody could tell me about this. I've seen pre-stack videos which prove basically nothing. Yeah, is the tooltip bugged? Is it not bugged? You can try it out for yourself. Personally, I've felt it is very mediocre. FAQ real quickly here. Where do you get stats? So a few small tips and tricks. I now pathed to enhanced reflexes, which is really nice. And I certainly don't need proficiency right now. But the most important thing you need to understand is on your tree, you already get a lot of dexterity. So here you can also get it if you want to, which means on your gear, you really want to focus on strength and intelligence. For example, this dexterity right here, I could literally get back here if I wanted to, and then I could get, I don't know, strength or whatever. So yeah, make sure that on top of your resistances, you also have attribute. This just kind of comes with the territory. Once you get better and better gear, you fill up your suffixes. Remember, you have 3 suffixes on every item. If those are filled with resistance, attribute, or attribute, resistances, in endgame, it will be fine. However, early on, it is a little bit of a struggle. Do manage your levels, right? Like some of these levels, you don't have to level, right? Like straight up, like none of these are that important. So I would highly recommend to be very conservative with that. Why do my walls not explode properly? That is because you're not doing enough damage per hit. And I want to remind you that, for example, attack speed does not increase your damage per hit. It doesn't make it easier to proc the wall on a hit. It just makes it so you shoot them faster. But if it doesn't explode, then shooting faster doesn't really do anything. So it's the damage per hit. Also, I've seen a lot of people, for example, path down here and take stuff like Giant Slayer. This one doesn't work on your walls, right? Same with other similar nodes. Same with the Ascendancy right here, right? Which is only against rares and uniques. So you're factoring in maybe a lot of damage bonuses that don't work on your own ice walls. Once again, I would highly recommend to get Penetrate and a good accuracy roll and some other damage rolls and maybe an attack speed roll, crit damage roll on the suffix on your crossbow, so you can actually increase your damage, right? Like actually increase your damage, not your DPS. That is really important. And then some minions are awkward. What can I do? So we had somebody comment about why we're pushing enemies around, which is really awkward and probably the most awkward thing about this build. It comes from freeze immune enemies apparently. And yeah, you can't really do anything about it, right? You're basically one-shotting rares, and then all of a sudden there is this these small normal mobs. Now the first thing is you can just ignore them, right? They're probably gonna be, I don't know, like these small mobs that are going to be between your walls, right? They don't even know what to do, what the hell is going on. But what I usually do is I get into the habit of like firing, placing a ballista, firing, right? So whenever this happens, I already have a ballista that fires and everything explodes, right? So ballistas will still target the ice crystals as well and destroy them. So yeah, as you can see in your hideout, they're not targeting. But if an enemy is somewhere here and the explosion of the ballista also catches the ice crystals, then there you go, right? And that's just kind of what it is. I have to try around with this more. Maybe a little bit more AoE could actually fix the whole issue. We'll have to see. I'll quickly show you my gear. I upgraded to a crossbow here. This has a ton of accuracy, which is huge, because now probably I could also just go for Falcon Dive and it would be really good, which is most likely what I'll work towards next. I just wanted to first shore up my defenses. Actually, next I'm probably gonna go Mindful Awareness, kind of connect here, maybe remove the skill speed right here. Yeah, that's definitely what I'm gonna do next, actually. Get my defenses up a little bit, but after that, yeah, upgrade the crossbow. But this one with my first divine I found very strong. You want as much accuracy as possible, as much physical. Flat cold is also good. The other ones, fire and lightning, are not as good because we're using cold infusion, but yeah, it is what it is. Then we're using attack speed on the suffix. However, I think the best thing would be crit damage bonus. Like I said earlier, too much attack speed can make it feel awkward, so probably better to go for crit damage bonus. Remember that is actually a multiplier, the one on weapon, unlike the passive tree, right? I have Black Insignia, which is very, very cozy. Just try it out yourself. I would not personally do it before you have Stalking Panther, though, because your evasion will be in the absolute gutter, right? So right now I have 74% chance to evade. I have 7,700, and with the Tailwind up, I go over 10,000. So that is when I would recommend this. Don't forget, the Tailwind stacks also give you evasion, which make it harder to get hit. Now, your playstyle-wise, if you want to keep the 10% movement speed, you can't run into things, but I'm sure you're already not doing that in PoE2 anyways. I already showed my Ami, just like, yeah, ES, life, stats, as much energy shield on your body armor. I already talked about the spirit stuff. Rings, all that matters here is stats and res. Stats and res. And then if you can get a life roll, on this one I did get one. Never forget the implicits are also worth basically a suffix, right? You can get 23 cold res here, 11 chaos res here, so don't just buy some garbage. Better save up for something good. Early on, I would highly recommend, if you come out of the campaign though, just buy a 1-2 Exalt ring though, because it's so cheap, but it will completely change how your mapping goes. And the boots are still only 25% movement speed. I'll work on it, but yeah, right now just res, right? Here, +2 charm slot, actually pretty big. I went for the freeze charm I had before, and then also cannot be stunned charm and immunity to bleeding charm. Very, very nice. I'm not sure about the immunity to bleeding one, but the stun and freeze are basically locked in. So pretty cool belt right here. And then the gloves I'll probably replace next. For the passive tree, I now pathed up here completely and went for Coming Calamity. I think I already had that one in the last video, actually. Heart Stopping and Heartbreaking. Get those once you're in the 70s of your build. I'm now level 80. I got it around about level 75. 10 int, 10 strength on top of all the crit. Now the small nodes behind, I'm most likely going to spec out of these and then connect here, so don't mind those. Enhanced reflexes, real nice. Once you get a little bit of evasion, once you get Stalking Panther, gives you dexterity as well. And other than that, I would have to see if anything changed. I'm not 100% sure. I think I took this small node out here. I took Killer Instinct, which is very nice because now that your energy shield is protecting your life, you are basically always on full life. And if you're not, then you can just flask up real quick, right? So that's pretty cool. But otherwise, I didn't really change anything. As always, it's going to be down below in the description. Now, Glacial Bolt, I got my 5th link. So once again, Cold Infusion, Prime Almond, Scattershot, Ice Bite, right? So now I put Ice Bite into my main links instead of the cast on freeze setup. I replaced this with energy retention. And the reason is that on bosses, you're never freezing with the freezing mark. So you're not getting the Ice Bite buff here. But if you put it on the Glacial Bolt, you do. While clearing, it's fine, right? But on bosses, you really want that 35% more damage because most support gems at the end here are just not that good. So 35% you really want to keep up at all time. That is absolutely premium. So yeah, Ice Bite is now up all the time in mapping and also up on bosses. Shout out to Ben Bash for that tip. Artillery Ballista is whatever. Martial Tempo, Lightning Infusion, Overabundance. The only reason, once again, I have Lightning Infusion is because we are converting, which I don't really wanna, but it just is what it is. So Lightning Infusion instead of like Fire Infusion or I don't even know, Fire Pin. I'll max this out later just so it's more convenient on bosses or whatever. But just so you understand, Artillery Ballista is not doing that much, right? It's just like a little bit of it is mostly against these annoying small mobs that usually don't destroy your crystals, so it is what it is. The cast on free setup's still the same. We're using impetus and energy retention. Towards the end, I probably want to put in something that actually increases the damage of freezing mark. So once again, we have this like we can level up the walls higher basically to get more base damage. Herald, I put in reach. I can't believe I didn't notice this thing here. So basically the heralds can never miss. So the downside here doesn't matter, and you get 35% more AoE. That was definitely an oversight on my part. I also have Magnified Effect and Cold Mastery just for a lot of spread, right? So that's in there as well. But yeah, just more damage. If you need those elsewhere, you can also put them elsewhere. Just don't put Reach anywhere else because the 80% less accuracy is actually gonna screw you over. Heightened Curse, Curse Ground. I'm probably gonna end up cutting Hypothermia if I know something else to do because Hypothermia is so small. Like, look at this. Like, pre-firing on bosses is already annoying with like the ball lightning and everything, and then like it's what it's supposed to not move. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see, dude. We'll see. Thunderous Leap as always. Here I put in Untouchable, which just gives a little bit of evasion while we're in the air, and Holy Descent to give a tiny bit of recovery, but it really doesn't matter. Ball Lightning, this one once again is for the offhand. The Effigy of Cruelty applies 5 stacks of Cruel Weakness. I'll say it again. Make sure that you have this one ticked, but not the 1. So you untick the 1. So this is on weapon set 2, where your spear and your effigy is. On the go stands, once again, we have fast forward. People ask me why. It makes it faster to regain your stacks. That's why. Also gain quality on it ASAP. It's probably what I'm gonna do next. Then the 5% goes to 7. Precision, if you can afford it. If you don't have the 10 spirit for it, don't brick your build. That's all I'm gonna say to that. And then Wind Dancer, this is probably the most cuttable one, but still very good. I put Wind Wave here and Pin. I absolutely love Wind Wave. So you'll see when your Wind Dancer, when you basically get hit and it gets broken and your Tailwind stacks go away, you get a Wind Wave where everything is, I'm gonna hover over it. Everything is knocked back by like 2 meters, and I think this scales with AoE, so it does have the AoE tag, so it actually gets knocked back by like 2.5 meters or something. It is very noticeable. Put it on ASAP. It's awesome in some of these awkward situations. Pin, I haven't personally felt too much, but yeah, you can play around with the rest. And yeah, that's about all I got for today. With this setup, I'm now pushing into red maps, pushing into 11, 12, 13, whatnot. And I'm going to keep you guys posted. I will not be making an update tomorrow because most likely I will just be grinding. Like, I will not be upgrading that much, maybe a few things here or there, but there won't be any overarching changes. So probably in 2 days from now, the next update maybe, yeah, will come out. And at some point also a full guide, like I said, from actual, but that will have to be once I actually get everything going. So yeah, hope you guys are enjoying the build still. And yeah, since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.